The party spoke about Kira's suggestion to make an oath of friendship. Kaya said that she needed time to think by herself and decided to leave them to meditate in one of the free rooms to assess the situation. Kira asked why they thought Kaya might have left, and they made a different hypothesis that she might have had people who betrayed her in the past. Lyra and Zark were up for the oath of friendship. Eleni was hesitating, feeling it was still early to make such a big commitment to the party. Zark opened up, saying that he was betrayed in the past, and things could go wrong. After this discussion, they all agreed to discuss it later, when Kaya would be back, and they split up. Lyra and Eleni talked in private about the centaur's family and why they were in danger. Eleni explained that they had a sickness that eventually consumed all of them. Her two remaining mothers were very sick, and one already passed away. Lyra could relate to Eleni's story, as she left hers so that they would not get hurt. This was a way for her to protect them. On his side, Zark went to the grotto to talk to the oracle. She was sitting in the middle of the cave and seemed to be in a trance. Proteus saw him and asked him what he was doing there. The Minotaur replied that he wanted to talk to the oracle. The old man used a triangle to wake Versi from her trance. They talked about Zark's family, as the Minotaur was looking for more answers. On her side, Kaya was deeply thinking in her meditation. On the one hand, she remembered with the pain of her past experiences, her first weeks as an urchin, and especially the other students of the Temple of the Shield. She swore to herself that gaining the trust of others would take a long time. On the other hand, even if she met the others for only a couple of days, they only gave signals that they could be trustworthy. She thought of Lyra that dragged her to safety during the Great Boar's fight, and how everyone helped each other in their fights in the Temple of the Oracle. After a few hours of thinking, she finally made a decision and decided to leave the room and find others to share with them her thoughts. Kaya found the party around a fire, chatting and drinking together. Lyra poured wine and handed it to the halfling, who gladly took it. She drank it up and talked to all of them. She apologized for leaving them in the middle of the conversation, but she needed to put her thoughts together. She opened up to them, saying that she was deeply betrayed in the past, and that even if she sensed she could trust them, she needed more time for it. However, she was willing to try it, for they were recognized as the heroes of the prophecy by the oracle. She took a step towards them and revealed the amulet that the oracle gave her. She explained that apparently it was a family heirloom, but she never saw it and didn't have any idea of what it was. Eleni took a closer look at it and noticed that it seemed to be strongly linked to the Dragonlords. Lyra wanted to touch the amulet, but Kaya moved her arm to prevent her from doing it. She was not sure if the amulet would do anything bad to her. After Kaya's speech, they all agreed to swear the oath of friendship. Kira refilled everyone's glass of wine and made them repeat after her. I am Kira, and I swear upon my life and my honor that I will uphold the oath of fellowship with the warriors who stand at my side. They then all cheered and drank up. They discussed their next destination. Kaya suggested going to Astoria so that they could gear up and complete one of the 3 quests given by the oracle. Kira nodded in approval that this should probably be their first destination. Eleni was fine with the decision since it would be on the way to Telemach. Lyra would like to go to the Old Wood, but as the group told her that they would go together later and help her, she agreed to go to Astoria first. The next day, everybody woke up and got ready to start their journey to Astoria. They said their goodbyes to the Oracle, Proteus, and the other acolytes, and once they were outside in the mountains, they took a main road. They saw around them burnt trees and villages. Zark asked the group to investigate one of the villages to try to understand what happened. The party took a detour to go to the closest village. The night was slowly falling, and they did not have much time to investigate with clear daylight. The village was eerily quiet, but they could hear birds chirping and insects around them. There were several huts completely burned. Kaya asked Zark if he wanted to investigate one hut to look for survivors. Eleni focused and was able to sense that there was some magic aura. She concluded that the huts were burnt by magic and informed the party. The Minotaur and Halfling checked for any sign of the Order of Sidon, such as pieces of fabric from their blue cloaks, but did not find anything relevant. Lyra looked for tracks and saw lots of them on the ground, but more importantly, she noticed that some tracks looked like they belonged to huge humanoids. She told the group of her findings, and as Kira approached to check the tracks, she wondered if this didn't belong to Cyclops. Lyra and Zark wanted to investigate further and find them. but Kaya and Eleni highly suggested they leave the village and go to Astoria, as they could not stand a chance against them. Before they left, Lyra built quick signs with a message to warn people to avoid this location. Perhaps the king of Astoria could help with this issue. The party kept walking on the same road, and when they found a good spot they set a camp for the night. Kira played the flute in a really bad way, which seemed to annoy Lyra, asking her why she played like this. The poet just laughed, explaining that she found it nice. Lyra offered her to play together, as she took her own flute. She handed over to Kira some notes of music that she wrote, and the two played together in sync a beautiful song. Kaya closed her eyes, enjoying the melody. When they were done playing, Kaya asked the group if they had been to Astoria before. Only Eleni and Kira had been there. The centaur said that the city was nice, but the people she met were weird. She explained a story about an old lady to the group. Kaya took a look at her amulet, but nothing happened. Zark asked the group for help, in case he needed to calm down when he would meet his father. According to him, only a specific song could calm him down. He hummed it as Lyra took notes to try and replicate it. She sang it, but sensed that she needed to work more on it to master the song, probably a few days of work during the next evenings. After some discussions, everyone went to sleep. They defined a night shift schedule, starting with Kaya. She stayed awake, but nothing happened. She then woke Eleni up and fell asleep. While Eleni was watching, she suddenly was not able to control herself and fell into a deep sleep. The party dreamed of the same nightmare. They were in complete darkness, and came to hear a woman laughing with an evil laugh. A woman's voice suddenly emanated from the darkness around them. So, your great quest begins. Off to become heroes, are you? Mortals are so very proud. A light shone in the dark, illuminating the sad and pathetic figure of an old woman who had been hogtied to a stake. Look at this one. She's falling to pieces. Joints stiff, skin slack, teeth are gone. The life is practically dripping out of her. Inky black shadows fell across the old woman. She flinched and squirmed, panicking as something drew closer. Something that they could not see. Yes, her sad mortal life is leaking away. But I wonder what will happen to her soul. They could hear the voice laugh as the old woman thrashed against her restraints, screaming into her gag as a butcher's knife descended, and they awakened from the nightmare, bathed in sweat. The whole group then woke up at the same time, startled and sweaty from the nightmare. Eleni fell to the ground, crying non-stop. Kaya was completely paralyzed and was not able to move. Lyra, on her side, was hallucinating, seeing crazy things around her. Finally, Zark seemed okay, but as he started speaking, he realized that he was not able to speak properly and in a comprehensible way. He went to Kaya and slapped her, trying to make her move, but she didn't react. Kira woke up and asked the party what was happening. Zark shook Lyra, but she seemed to be completely high in her hallucinations. After a few minutes, everyone's effects dissipated, and they all came back to their senses. They discussed what happened to them and found out that they all had the same dream. Kira thought that it must have been Lutheria, also known to be the Lady of Dreams. Hearing her name, both Kaya and Zark got angry. Kaya remembered her bad dreams about her, bringing chaos to Thalia. Lara revealed that it could not be Lutheria because she is a good person. Both the halfling and Minotaur were shocked by Lara's statement. Kaya got angrier, telling Lara that she could not be more wrong, that Lutheria is evil and must be stopped. But Lara argued that Lutheria is good and brought good things to her family, such as bountiful harvests each year. Kira insisted that given their description, it had to be Lutheria, but the siren refused to believe it. Kaya revealed the rumor that she heard about Lara, that when she was born, the Titans themselves wanted to prevent her birth. Using the ancient powers, they reached to the heavens and pulled a great rock to strike her down. But the siren was not able to confirm these rumors and didn't think they were true. Kaya tried to describe the old woman that they saw, but it didn't ring any bell for Kira. She said it is something common for Lutheria to keep innocents prisoners and torture them. After this big emotional time, the party was able to fall back to sleep with no other issues until the next morning, where they continued their journey. On the main road, they encountered a caravan of merchants leading bony oxen. An old man on the caravan talked to the party. They discussed the burnt villages and the potential danger of Cyclops taking part in these attacks. The man was aware of it, but said that King Pythor was not doing much about it at the moment, as he was focusing on the army of centaurs at the northern gate of Astoria, and as the whole city was busy with the daily sacrifices that Sidon demanded. He pointed at his oxen, telling the group that he was bringing them to get sacrificed, that even if they were weak, they were the strongest oxen of his livestock. When the old man asked what they were planning to do in Astoria, Kira could not help it, and revealed that they were the heroes of the prophecy. The man admired them and offered 20 gold pieces to the heroes to help them save Thylea. No one from the group accepted it, but as the old merchant insisted, Lyra took the small bag, but before they left him, she put it back where it was discreetly. The old man also heard that the Order of Sidon demanded the sacrifice of Princess Honora, daughter of the king. After the discussion, the party wished the man the best of luck, as they needed to hurry to Astoria, and continued to walk toward the city. They finally arrived at the southern gates of Astoria. This settlement was nestled between the cliffs of a rocky gorge. The north wall of the town was part of a stone fortress, and protected the town from any dangers that might come from the steppes. Houses, taverns, and shops of all kinds sprawled down from the fortress, filling much of the gorge. The northern wall was defended by a legion of soldiers, while the southern gates admitted a steady stream of travelers and merchant caravans. The road that ran south from the gate was lined with tile-roofed inns. At the gate, 2 soldiers were standing there, but they were not paying much attention. They seemed to be bored, as nothing ever happened on this side of the city. As Kaya wanted to buy some equipment, Kira recommended going to the Agora, which was the best location to buy things. While they started walking in the city, they met a small group of urchins. They saw Zark and were very impressed by his size. They asked him to tell them an epic story of a fight. The Minotaur didn't want to talk to them, but Kaya told him coldly to tell the kid a nice story to entertain them, which Zark did. He told them the story of their fight with the great boar. Impressed, more kids and people came around the heroes to listen to the great story. One of the urchins pickpocketed Lyra but was immediately noticed by Kaya, who knew all the tricks urchins do to survive. She poked his shoulder, asking him what he had in his hand. The kid pretended he had nothing and tried to leave, but Kaya grabbed his arm and opened his hand, containing the siren's money. The urchin was embarrassed and didn't know what to do, feeling that the halfling was holding him tight. But surprisingly for him, Kaya took the money, smiled at him, and gave him the leftover food she had from the previous day. This event reminded her of her childhood and all the tricks they thought of to get proper meals. She told the kid that he would need more food than gold, and as they were looking at each other, there was an immediate connection, and the urchin understood that Kaya was once like them. He thanked her with tears in his eyes and went to his friends, sharing the food with the rest of them. Kaya handed over her money to Lyra, and the siren gave the kid a coin, making him promise that he would share it with the others. When Zark finished his story, Kira said once more out loud that they were the heroes of the prophecy. Immediately, a huge crowd gathered around them. Lyra, Eleni, and Kaya managed to escape from the crowd, which got closer to Zark. Suddenly, 6 hoplites came over and asked the crowd to make way. They claimed that, by order of the king, they needed to escort the heroes of the prophecy to him. Zark and Kira looked for Lyra, Eleni, and Kaya, but were unable to find them in the crowd. The latter heard what the hoplites said and decided to follow them discreetly to avoid the crowd. Kaya guided them on the small streets, as she recognized similar patterns to the streets of Arisia where she grew up. They even arrived at the entrance of the palace before Zark and Kira, who looked surprised to see them there already. They then entered the palace together. There were statues representing the Dragonlords, the gods, and tapestries of battles between the Dragonlords and the Titans. Seeing all the representations of the Dragonlords, Kaya had goosebumps. The tapestry was very similar to some of the dreams she had. They walked down the path until they reached the king's chamber. The soldiers stopped and told them, "King Pythor is waiting for you." Kaya opened the door, and Zark went in behind everyone else. They saw a huge human with 5 other people in the room. The big human, whom Kaya recognized immediately as Pythor, was talking to a statue. The 5 persons were looking at the heroes, but did not say anything. They seemed to be annoyed and exhausted. They left the room, and Pythor finished his conversation with the statue, which was a representation of Metros. The god then sat on his throne, focused his attention on Zark, and seemed angry. Kira and Pythor argued, He said that she was just the oracle's pet. He then explained what the old man said about the sacrifice of Honora and asked the heroes to help him. Zark approached and said angrily, "Since when do you care about your children?" Pythor stood up from his throne, looked at Zark, and raised one of his hands, placing it on the Minotaur's shoulder. Suddenly, tears shed down from his eyes. He held Zark very tight and started sobbing. The Minotaur got angry and tried to push him away, but his father was way too strong for him. They talked about Zark's mother, Merope, who was the love of Pythor's life, and how he couldn't do anything. The Minotaur argued that he was never there, but the god claimed that he was bound to the oath of peace and was not able to do anything. But he was trying to repent himself with Honora. Finally, after crying more and making Zark wet from the tears, he released his son and sat on the stairs close to his throne. They discussed again about Merope, as Zark claimed that she was dead, while his father said that she still lived. As the god cried again, Zark looked at him with pity. When Pythor was able to speak again, he explained that the Order of Sidon was asking for Honora's sacrifice. Otherwise, the army in the north would attack the city. Kaya said that there had to be a way, and the king suggested they talk to the leader of the order. They also learned more about the sacrifices. The victims were placed on the rock of Estor, near the southern gate of Estoria. The next day the victims disappeared and no one knew what happened. Pythor talked again about Merope and told Zark that he knew where she might be, but that he would talk more once they saved Honora. The sacrifice would be made in exactly 2 days. They also learned that the princess was only 14 and wanted to sacrifice herself to save the city. But Pythor had locked her up in her bedroom to prevent the sacrifice from happening. The emissaries of the Order of Sidon were located in the guest chamber in the palace. The heroes decided to go talk to them and left the king's chamber.